instead of just complaining about that doesn't work and that's it. And why is that doesn't work? Why can't they make it easier? Why can't they do this? No. Or just simply, I'm not going to care about it. I'm not going to care about it. I'm not going to care about it. You know.
I found a stack of records in my attic today, an Elvis picture disc and Kenny's big old hay. Put them up on eBay before the day was done. Watch the bids roll in till the morning sun.
Welcome everyone to the video. Welcome to the channel. This is the Tuesday What Sold video, and this is Tuesday morning. So I'm filming this Tuesday morning. I was tired. I fell asleep yesterday, and I was just really tired. Yeah, I did my hospital duty yesterday, which is Monday, and it's getting busy. Oh, like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below. Let me get that out of the way. But I think a lot of people, so we're entering flu season, and it tends to get busier during flu season, or just the season when people tend to get more sick. And although with COVID now, we've had periods in the summertime, and so prior to pandemic, prior to what occurred, there was a pretty standard flu season, towards the end of the year, in the wintertime, and so we'd be able to account for that at the hospital. And one of the big issues is, as people are getting more sick, the hospital's resources are, you're hitting, there's a certain ceiling there. You can't, there's a certain point where, all the resources are being used at the hospital for patients that are there at the hospital. And you can't go beyond that. If there's a ceiling there, you can't go beyond it. You can't go, it's just like sell-through rate. You can't go above 100%. You can't exceed it. And so what happens in those cases, we would be, obviously towards, during the season, during the when people get sick more during the wintertime, this was very, very closely monitored. Because what would occur is, as we start to approach, capacity, as we start to approach that level where, we can no longer, support any additional patients. And this is not just for, this is for emergency services. This is for, procedures. This is for inpatient stays. Overall, the hospital's resources are limited, and so and they start to get stretched towards the winter, in the winter, and this is very closely monitored. And what would happen is then we would start having to the hospital in big meetings with everybody start triaging things. And obviously the less emergent stuff will get pushed to the back burner, which means a lot of elective or non-emergent things would get canceled. A lot of regular appointments, a lot of procedures would get canceled. And now we're talking about procedures. So, we're not talking about, we're talking about procedures where it would really change a person's lifestyle, such as something like if you ever had gallbladder problems, technically for the most majority of them, they are elective. There are emergent ones as well too, but they're technically elective, and those get pushed to the back burner. And if you've ever had gallbladder problems, that pain is intense. Hernia surgeries, total joint surgeries are one that would really, they would start, because those generally for the most part require at least a 1-day stay in the hospital, and that would just put way too much strain on the hospital. So during times of during times when resources were running low, and so we have to cancel them and postpone them. And these are people that have been waiting, weeks. They go through a whole process, and they've been waiting weeks, maybe sometimes months. Maybe they've been putting it off to a certain time of the year when they would have help and assistance, and then to all of a sudden have it canceled. And really, these people really do struggle, especially patients, mobility issues, right? There's a lot of pain, and it can really, the procedure can really change a whole person's outlook on life. And to have, the anticipation of having this done and relieving their pain, getting back to mobility, then all of a sudden, having it canceled, it can be pretty, I've talked to a lot of these patients, and it's not fun. It is not fun to have to do this, because, the hospital's resources are strained, and now that's where we're running it. That's what we're going into, and the biggest problem with when your resources are when we're hitting capacity is then you start turning away things, and that could mean someone coming in with a heart attack, stroke, car crash. And so you would have to, redirect them to other hospitals. And that every second, in some of those instances, every second matters. And so, yes, we may be the closest hospital, but we can't help you. We have to direct you to a hospital that's a few more miles away. And every second, like I said, every second counts. And that's why this is very closely monitored. We always try to account for these situations. We never try to hit 100%, but sometimes you can't help it. There were many instances during the summer when there was a new COVID strain going around that the hospital just, we couldn't take, emergency services were just done. We couldn't take any more people. And so we had to start redirecting traffic elsewhere. And, you could say, build a new hospital. Yeah, there's a local hospital that's building, but it's going to take them several years to get it up and running. Hospital I work at, they were trying to expand a building that they already had. They already had to expand this building. Basically, they already have the building. They just wanted to build it out more internally, but they weren't able to. They weren't allowed to because of regulation, and so they would have to shut the whole building down and essentially rebuild the whole building. They had to bring everything up to current code standards. And, it really wasn't worth taking off, it was essentially at like double the capacity of this one building. But because of all the regulation, because of everything they would have to do, taking it offline was just not an option. It was better just to run it at its current state than try to expand it, because it would take several years to complete that project, and taking it offline for that amount of time was not helpful to the community at all. So there's also money involved as well too. There's also money involved in all this stuff, and it's rough. The healthcare system is a very fragile state, and it runs some random events can throw it way off off balance, and it's tough. It's a very tough I've been a part of some of these meetings where you have to make these tough decisions, and it's not easy. And I've talked to patients, and it's not an easy conversation to have when when these people have been waiting to have these appointments, procedures, whatever it is with the hospital. They have to cancel them and tell them, we're going to have to move you out at least a month, even just a week or 2 weeks. So either way, enough of that. Enough of that. You see my hat? We went over the pumpkin patch today, and the pumpkin patch that we go to has been expanding. It was a small one, and there was one over in this one's in Morgan Hill. It's kind of in Morgan Hill, technically, in my opinion. It's still in San Jose, but they say it's in Morgan Hill, wherever the lines are drawn. Kind of weird to me. But there was one in Morgan Hill called Uziki. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. And that one was a big pumpkin patch. And then there was the smaller one, which was cool, which we would go to that one because it was smaller. It wasn't it wasn't as far. And it was smaller. We would just go buy pumpkins, maybe do a hayride or two or something like that. Corn maze. But this one has really, so the Uziki one is gone. They ended up selling their land to developers, and they have apartments and houses there now. It's kind of sad, that went away. But this other one has really expanded. It is huge. I was like, wow, I went to it this year, and I'm like, dang, they took it to the next level. It is just crazy. And so they have this huge they have a bunch of animatronics. They have Godzilla, King Kong as soon as you enter it. Huge. I posted a picture on Instagram of the Godzilla. And there was all dinosaur themed, like Jurassic Park themed. So they have all kinds of animals, all kinds of dinosaurs. They had all kinds of rides, all kinds of food, of course, as well, too, all kinds of pumpkins as well. And the maze was really cool. I always love doing the corn maze. And this one was huge, was a massive corn maze, and it took a while to get through, but we did eventually make it. And then we did the hayride, which is pretty cool. That's kind of like, not really. I mean, they have other smaller rides. I'm like, not really, more for, we don't have little kids anymore. So it's more for little kids. So I always like to do a hayride, and I always like to do the corn maze is what I always like to do. And of course, just hang out and have a meal there, have dinner or lunch. I like to always go towards dusk, so gets more dinner than I guess. Well, it was really a snack. It wasn't much because we did get food after that. But I always like to go towards dusk, just right when the sun's starting to go down. And we're in a valley, so where where this pumpkin patch is, and where the other pumpkin patch was too, in Morgan Hill, the mountains just run along each side of it. So, and they're just running so there's mountains on one side, and it's just running straight down there. I mean, there's quite a bit of the valley itself is pretty large, but it's kind of cool right when the sun starts to go down beyond the mountains, and then you get that that orangey light coming across everything, and just really, really cool. And it was fun. It was very, very fun. I really enjoyed the pumpkin patch. We got pumpkins. We didn't get anything crazy. We don't get crazy with our pumpkins anymore. I mean, we just get the big pumpkins, and we just got little pumpkins just for little bunches of decor around the area around our house. And the big pumpkins, because they end up just getting rotten and thrown out anyway. So like just get little ones, just for a little pop here and there. We don't need to get crazy with the pumpkins. But it was packed. I mean, it was jam packed. I mean, we went on Saturday night, so it was going to be jam packed, and this place was packed to the brim. It's still a good space, good wide open space. So it's not like you're shoulder to shoulder. Where you're getting food, it is, but so you're walking around, you're not really shoulder to shoulder with everybody. So it was really cool, and really enjoyed it. I did see Black Phone 2, which I believe I spoke about. We went to Universal Studios, and then we saw they were promoting the Black Phone 2 there, and we never seen the original Black Phone, which is really, really good. And then so we went to go see Black Phone 2, which was really, really good. And then it reminded me, when I was editing my video for Monday, I had talked about, I'm not going to spoil or anything like that, but the movie. But I was talking about a Christian camp, and then that movie was kind of about a Christian camp. And so I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. So I was talking about that in my video about a Christian camp that we used to go to when we were young. What else is going on in the reselling space? Nothing really too exciting. There was someone talking about turning off international sales to get more sales in general, which I don't. I think my feeling on that. I've talked about it before. All these, trying to game the system, and they're really nothing really trumps just great items and making sure you're in line with pricing and all that. Not going crazy with your shipping, not overcharging on shipping, making sure your dimensions are correct and all. Because I've talked about this before. I've seen an uptick in international sales, which are great because once you get to the international shipping hub, there's no takebacks. So I've seen more international sales this year than I have in previous years. So that's pretty good. And I really just don't even notice it when I'm, when the sales come through. I kind of realize it when I'm printing out labels. Oh, that's going to the hub. 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 I'm like, oh, great. That's nice. So I've had a lot more of those this year. So I really don't think turning it off would do anything. It could be just a placebo effect. But I don't think that shouldn't affect any type of algorithm at all that I would think. What else? Lots of, I come across and I do watch for a little bit. I can't really watch too much, but just when people complain a lot, and primarily I've come across several videos where it's just lots of complaining about, primarily about eBay, of course, but then they start complaining about internet problems. They start complaining about cell phone problems, and they start complaining. It's just filled with just complaints about this and this and this. And that really does, then they talk about how they're it kind of just bleeds into the rest of their life, like just just constant complaining. I'm like, what, just maybe just start looking for it. Yeah, but there's people like that. There's people, I talked about this before. There's people like they're like just general complainers, and trying to overcome that if you can. If you do find, I'm pretty sure a lot of complainers don't feel that they are complaining. They feel like they are pointing out what is wrong and trying to bring it to the light, I guess. But there comes a point where you're just complaining, and you complain about things that really there's no fix for, or there is a fix, but you're just complaining because it's not an easy fix. So my opinion is, don't be a complainer. I try not to complain. I try to always be a someone that finds the answer, someone that finds the solution. I went to school for computer engineering, so that's always, I gotta stop saying, I notice when I'm rewatching my videos, I say, a lot. So I gotta be more mindful of that to not do that. But so it's just the way I think I am wired, is to always look for a solution, to always be looking for an answer. So maybe these are like on eBay, there's certain parameters that we have to follow, and I will work within those parameters and find a solution, just like a maze. I will find the end. I will find the end. I will find the start, and I'll find the end, and then we'll do it all over again. But I try not to complain really about things, but I don't try to be either in the camp of I just don't care type of situation. I don't think you should be in that in the complaining about it, or just I'm not going to care about it camp. You should be always looking for solutions, always looking for always trying to search for answers. It also appeals to the scientific side of myself, and because I'm a huge fan of physics and science and all that, and always trying to figure out how things work, basically. Always constantly trying to analyze situations, and always looking for the answer, or looking for the roots. The whole thing with physics and quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and all that. Always trying to see, why is this working? Why is this doing that? Why is this doing this? Why does that work with that? Why does that not work with that? And instead of just complaining about that doesn't work and that's it. And why is that doesn't work? Why can't they make it easier? Why can't they do this now? Or just simply, I'm not going to care about it. I'm not going to care about it. I'm not going to care about it. But there's, not gonna. There's all kinds of people out there, and there's going to be people that live in both sides of it, and we have to learn how to work with all those types of people. If you do, obviously, if you're just watching my YouTube, you just turn it off. But and if you work at a job, there's going to be those people where they just don't. Yeah, I've worked at the hospital. There's people that are like, I just don't care. I'm going to come in and collect my paycheck, and I don't care what happens. I don't care that these patients have to wait. No, who cares? You're waiting. That's it. Like, dang. That is like, you meet a lot of people who are very, I would call it bedside manner, who are bedside manner. They're very just matter of fact. This is what it is. This is what's going to happen. Da, 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 and that's it. Done. And then those people who are more kind of caring, kind of more, yes, they realize things might not go in the way the patient would like it to go, but they're more understanding, and the way they present it is more better bedside manner, more comforting towards the patient. And but both, and with people I've worked with at the hospital, there are patients that like both. There's some patients that want just give it to me straight and that's it. But then there's people who need to be more coddled, I guess, or more. They need that bedside manner. They need that comforting person. So everybody has their own way in this world, in this life. If it was all one way, that'd be a pretty boring life. That'd be pretty boring. It's like that movie with Christian Bale. Oh, it's a good movie. It is one of my favorites, but I can never remember the title. I always want to say, I always want to say the movie with Keanu Reeves, Johnny Mnemonic. Johnny Mnemonic. I think I'm saying that right. Um, that's the one I always think of when I think of this movie. But this one is called Equilibrium. That's the movie. And they take so in the future they take this injectable, and it basically just kills all their emotion. And so they live in this very gray, plain, boring world. But then the person in charge of everything, like he doesn't take that dose, so he has all this. And so they go on to destroy everything that could invoke emotion. So paintings, movies, all this stuff. So it's a very, very, it's a very, very good movie. I really, really like it. Equilibrium, Christian Bale. Okay, let's go ahead. I didn't set this up ahead of time. Let me just do that right now. Well, let me stop the video and then I'll set up the what sold. Okay, here we go. So I think let's just do 6 for now. I threw up several. I just started taking screenshots of several things that I think are cool and unique, and throw them in there. And I threw a whole bunch in there this time. I just started uploading a bunch of pictures into here, and let me make sure. I need to make sure I stop at 6. I just don't accidentally go beyond, because I'll need stuff for the other. Well, then again, we'll sell more. So hopefully, more cool, unique stuff sells. But either way, we'll stop it. We'll try to stop it. So hopefully, we stop at 6. I don't go beyond it. Usually, I keep them in separate folders, but this time because I'm running late, I just threw everything all in one folder. So. Where are we at? Oh yeah, then the internet went down this week too. I was working on a database Monday. No, it was it was Monday. It was about right around 12:30 a.m. So it was Monday, and all of a sudden I was like, "What's going on here?" So I just lost connectivity, and then of course the first thing is it me? My internet problem. And so I was checking my internet connection. I was like, "Oh, everything's good here." And then I realized all of a sudden my Alexas weren't working. I'm like, "Oh, what the heck's going on with my Alexa over here?" And so then I was, it has to be Amazon. Something problem with Amazon, and their AWS, for Amazon Web Services, went down at it was roughly right around 12:30 a.m. Monday. So. Right at the beginning of Monday, everything just crashed. And I don't know what time. I guess it came back up at some point, but at that point, I was already like, I'm sitting on the couch working from my laptop, and I was like, it's not urgent that I get this done right now, so I'll just put it off to another day. I don't have to do it today. And then so at some point, it came back on, but then I realized later on Monday, I was trying to access just my one of my Alexas, the what do you call it? Well, not the Alexa, the thermostat for the house. And I was like, still wasn't connected. I'm like, what's this is so annoying. They still got it all straightened out. So this goes to show you, one thing goes down, internet goes down. It's crazy. Either way, we have this really, really cool. Now, Google Image helped me out with this one a lot as far as the naming goes. It is reverse painted, so it's painted to the inside. There's a hole on the bottom, right around here. If you see where my mouse is circling, I don't know if this it probably went on something, but in order to paint it on the inside, you got to have an opening on the bottom or somewhere. So it was painted on the inside, which is really, really cool. I listened to the globe. It is glass. Not really 100% sure what you would use this for. It's not really a paperweight. Yeah, it could kind of sit on that opening on the bottom, but it's not really. It'll roll around. But it's sold. As a matter of fact, this was an international sale. $30 and $13.20 what they paid in shipping. Went in a 6x6x6 box, and cool, really cool sale. Definitely keep your eye out for these things. A lot of these reverse painted things. They are cool. They are unique. And they do sell. Some of them might sit for a while. They usually are heavy because they're glass. So be mindful of what you're paying for them. Don't pay too much, because they may be sticking around for a while. This one here took about a little over 3 months to sell for this item, but still a cool piece and a cool item. I like it. That's why I picked it up, because I liked it. And then this is the last of these mirrors. These were a video, I'm not sure how long ago. But either way, this is the last of the mirrors. And these sold for... So car parts. I mean, used car parts do really well. I'm not going to get into anything like, alternators or anything like that. Because you never know if they're going to work or not. A mirror, I know this. It's a mirror. $51.80 is what they paid. $11.49 in shipping. This one is 12 by 8 by 6 box. So really cool. Could be used for a car, truck, vintage mirrors. The numbering was on the inside. If you see where my mouse is, was on the inside of this part right here. That's where I got the numbering from. And so I just put all the numbers over there. I just plugged it in because I don't know if there's a model number for it or not, but it has a cool old school car. To me, it looks like an old like Buick or Lincoln, from the 80s or 90s type of side mirror. So really cool. Okay, this is right up my alley, and this was a NVIDIA. This is a graphics card. It's not anything modern. This is an older one, the 9500 GT. And there's not even one of the higher end models from when this came out. The higher end models were the 9800s were the higher end models, but it still sold. It still sells. Obviously, not everybody can necessarily test this out. So buy at your own risk. Doesn't really sell for that much when it comes to being for parts. So I definitely would pass it up if you don't have the ability to test it out. You can definitely do a visual inspection and make sure nothing's broken off of it. Make sure there's no, corrosion or anything. And, you can take a gamble on it. It doesn't sell for a crazy amount, but it does sell pretty fast. And this one sold for $24.46. $10.37 what they paid in shipping. Standard padded envelope is what this went into. So really, really cool. Yeah, you definitely take a gamble on it. If everything looks clean on it, it should be good. For the most part, I would say 75% of the time, it should be fine. Some of these, like more modern ones, if you can find more modern graphics cards, and you can sell them for parts, and they would sell for pretty good money. Obviously, depending on what you pay for them. You don't want to pay too much. Remember what I always say about looking at my eye. Something in my eye. I heard the eyelash or something. But for electronics, you gotta always be careful with the electronics. You never know if it's gonna work or not. So, you can't necessarily always test these when you're out there buying them. So make sure you're paying the least amount for them. And if you can't pay the least amount for them, then just pass them up because it's not worth the headache if they don't work. Metronomes. These are easy to test. And they do incredibly well. They sell incredibly fast. And definitely keep your eye out for them. This is one of the more common names that you'll find out there. This is not one of the wood. If this was real wood, it's plastic made to look like wood. If it was real wood, it would sell for probably close to $100. And I've sold those ones before. And make sure I have a little door. This one was missing a little knob right here, a little screw-on knob, but the little selector thing still worked. Sold for $53 even, $10.67 is what they paid in shipping, and 1286 box is what this went into. I've sold, I don't have any more metronomes. My last metronome I had at this point in time, my eyeball. Oh, this time here. See, it's getting. I think I had to take some allergy medicine. Allergies haven't bothered me. Everything tended to change in the seasons. It bothers my allergies. Like this. Or I got to get a blepharoplasty. They kind of just cut off a little bit of excess skin here and they go, that could be a not necessarily a cosmetic thing. You can get it covered by insurance if it affects your vision. So just be mindful of that. People do have them done and they are covered because they do affect vision. Obviously, your doctor has to sign off on that. So definitely see your doctor if your vision is being obstructed by excess skin above your eye. So metronomes, definitely keep your eye out for them. I pick them up all the time. Every time I see them, they're usually priced pretty well. So keep your eye out. We don't want to go too far on this list. Let me just double check where I'm at. We did. Oops. Oh, I will have $100 item, I think, in this one too. So let's see. We did 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is 4. Okay, so the next one is the $100 item, big item. I think I paid $8 for it, if I remember correctly. Right here, Olympus. This is the Olympus stylus, 80. And some of these, some of these 35 millimeter cameras, so it takes film. Some of them do really well, like this one. Some of them don't do really well. So if you stick to the major name brands like Olympus, Sony, Canon, Nikon, and then just check the model numbers. Easy, 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 easy. So this one here, I put in my cart. I was like, all right, let me just check the model. Make sure you keep a selection of batteries because these ones take unusual batteries. So maybe be mindful of that. I always have a bunch of batteries. They're right down over here. Big box batteries, just in case for these types of events when I find cameras like this. And it worked. Everything works. And so I ended up looking it up. Realized we went for over $100. Listed it $111.90. $7.45 what they paid in shipping, and a standard poly bag, padded poly bag is what this went into. So definitely this is one to keep your eye out for. So the Olympus Stylus Epic Zoom 80 35 millimeter camera. Keep your eye out for it. Now the thing about these ones, and a lot of these, they don't necessarily have a power button. So to turn them on, once you put the battery in it, to turn it on, you have to slide. I should do it with my mouse, shouldn't I? You have to slide this over because this is usually covering it. So you have to slide that over and then the camera will turn on for you. So just something to be aware of. So the Olympus Stylus Epic Zoom 80 is a 35 millimeter camera you want to be on the lookout for. Sold within a matter of 3 days. So going to East Coast. Really cool. And the person messaged me, they bought it on Thursday. No. They bought it on Friday is what they did. They bought it on Friday. I'm pretty sure it was Friday. I can double check. Well, I'm pretty sure they bought it. Even nonetheless, they bought it on a day. It was either Thursday or Friday. I forgot already. They bought it on the day, and they asked me if I could ship it out, as quick as possible. And I was like, And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be in the area of the post office later that day. I'd already dropped off my mail for the day, so I was like, oh, you know what? I can grab it. I'm gonna go. I have to go home. I had to go home anyway. Like I'll just head home. I'm gonna be in the area of the post office anyway, and I could bet I could be there before 5 o'clock. And sure enough, I got it packaged up, wrapped up, packaged up, labeled, and got it to the post office. It was like 4:45, and I got it checked into the post office and got it on its way because the guy needed it within about a week to go on a trip. I thought I can get it there. I can do that. Piece of cake. And so I did. So always trying to, if someone sends me a message like that and I can do it, generally for the most part, I'll tell them, sure, no problem. It's kind of challenging, especially like on Saturdays, because the post office is only open for a certain amount of time. And for the most part, I'm not in the area of post offices Saturdays in that short time frame that they're open. It would be an out of the way drive, but I have done it before. And like someone did message me about, they got a Great Wolf Lodge wand. I don't know. I really don't know what it's used for because I've never been to the Great Wolf Lodge, but they wanted it before their trip next week, and they sent me a message. They bought it on Friday evening, and they sent me a message, and I was like, ooh, should I take it Saturday? Should I not? Do I run the risk of getting a cancellation because they don't think it's going to be there in time? They were only in Arizona, so it's not too far from me. Like, nah, they could wait. They could wait till Monday. And I double checked. I was like, I'm pretty sure they were close. And I double checked. I'm like, they're in Arizona. Okay, piece of cake. It'll get there in about 2 or 3 days, the most. 3 days the most. Knock on wood. And so I was thinking about it. I was like, I think on a Saturday. I really don't want to go to the post number out of my way for a post office on a Saturday. So, I always try to provide the best service as I possibly can. So, 1, 2, 3, 5. So there's one, I'm going to show one more. Am I going to show one more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a second. Wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is 5. So we'll show one more. We'll show 6. We'll do 6. We'll do it. And the other thing too, the other disclaimer I should say is, when it comes to reselling the way we do, the way I do, is turning like $8 into $100-something is not something that happens all the time. Yes, I believe in a video, one of my thrifting videos I'm going to mention, where I have been pretty lucky in finding items where I've been paying very low and selling for over $100. It's been happening this week, and it will happen. The more often you put yourself out there, you're going to have these incredible margins, but it's not common. It's not something that you can necessarily count on all the time. Paying very little and have an incredible margin on the incredible profit on these items. It doesn't happen all the time. Okay, so all the stuff, other stuff I'm showing you here are really where it's at. You're paying, and then you're going to sell $20, $30, $40, $50, $60 or so. But turning a few bucks into 100, it's not very common, but it does happen. And the more you put yourself out there, the more often you'll find these types of items. Okay, this will be the last one here. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge from Disneyland. This one does really well. Not necessarily all the plush from there, but there is a bit of a exclusive nature to these items that you find at Disneyland. And this one here does go for a bit. It went for $56.14. $9.65 is what they paid in shipping. And I actually put this, I had to put two 8x8 boxes together just to make it fit, because it had a long tail on the end, if you can see right here. And I really didn't want to, it's flexible, but I really don't want to flex it too much. So I was like, I felt more comfortable putting it 2 8x8 boxes together. Did I say 3/8 in there? There's 3/8. So a total of 6 8s is what it was. I put 2 boxes together just to make it work, and so I didn't have to bend that tail too much. Yeah, I didn't really have to bend the tail at all, actually, after I put those 2 boxes together. But really, really cool. Definitely keep your eye out for items from Disneyland, from Disney World. And Universal stuff doesn't really do too well. More Disneyland stuff does. Disney stuff does a lot better. Disney parks, I should probably say, especially Galaxy Edge, Star Wars. Everybody loves Star Wars, so definitely keep your eye out for it. This is electronic, so it doesn't make sound. Yeah, I think you have to, if I remember correctly, you have to pet it. You pet it on its head, and I think it makes the sounds. So really cool piece, and that's cool. But you got 6 items right there. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. But I need to get this video started. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
Hey, you've made it to the end. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video by hitting the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by hitting my little round icon down below. It really does help us out here. Also, you'll find a couple of selections. You'll see a playlist of videos to watch, and my most recent video that I did upload.